Welcome to Alaska Adventure, Lessons from the K-12 Frontier, with your host, Dr. Meinert, Superintendent of the Fairbanks North Starborough School District. This podcast is your gateway to the heart of Alaska's educational landscape, where each episode features guests sharing their unique perspectives. We are bringing together voices that shape education in the last frontier. Join us as we explore the challenges, triumphs, and innovations in Alaska's K-12 classrooms.
Welcome back to another podcast episode of the Alaska Adventure. I'm your host, Dr. Luke Meinert, Superintendent of the Fairbanks North Starborough School District. And today I've got two awesome individuals joining me, Ivory McDaniel Ilgen Fritz, who is our Executive Director of Human Resources, and Brian Powell, who is our Assistant Director of Human Resources. Today, we're going to talk all things human resources and then drill into the educator shortages that we have around the country and specifically here in Fairbanks and what we're doing about it. And so thanks for being on the podcast today. I'll let Ivory introduce herself and give a little bit of a background of what she does in human resources and what brought her to this role.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for having us both here. It's going to be fun to talk about our district and the awesome teachers and staff that we have and being able to recruit folks to come to our district. So excited for that opportunity. I am currently the Executive Director of Human Resources. I've been with the district. Well, I grew up in Fairbanks, was born and raised here. And so being in the district, I went to Barnett before it was a magnet school. I went to Ryan Junior High, and I also went to Lathrop High School and graduated from there. So go Malamutes. And then graduated from UAF. Got my master's through the University of Alaska Southeast. So born and raised here in Alaska and super excited to be able to continue with public education and working to support our communities. So like I was saying, sorry, I digressed. Been working with the Human Resources Department since 2016. Came into this role just a couple of years ago, and it's just been an amazing opportunity to watch our district grow and to be able to serve the community and through public education and being able to support that.
Awesome. Well, we feel very fortunate to have you as a part of our team, and awesome seeing Fairbanks born and raised kids now make it into leadership positions, because you're really making a difference for not only students within our district, but a real community impact. Brian, how about you?
Well, I started with the district 23 years ago, a teacher at Lathrop High School, so go Malamutes.
That's a Lathrop here.
Yeah.
Right.
So then several of us in the district started a charter school, Star of the North. So I was a founding member of the charter school, which was great to just provide an opportunity for kids and families that just didn't fit the molds of what we had at the time. So it's always been a great pleasure of mine to have been part of that that charter school experience. So after I did that for about 5 years, I thought about administration and went and became the principal of Nordell Elementary for 14 years until that school was closed 2 years ago. Kind of followed my kids to secondary. I got back into the secondary scene as an assistant principal at West Valley, and just had a fantastic time working with older kids, looking at activities, seeing my own children kind of grow up into young adults. So after that, I quickly started realizing I just want to do some other stuff in education, but not necessarily in the schools. So there was an opportunity to move into human resources, and I had worked with Ivory multiple times on different projects, and just really liked her leadership style and wanted to learn something new. And so I started in HR just in July, and it has been everything I've hoped it to be. It's
He's still with us.
Never a dull moment. Never a dull moment.
Never.
And you really do get to see the backside as an administrator for 14 years. You don't, you're not fighting with HR, but you sometimes wonder, like, why do we have to do it this way? And then all of a sudden you realize because there's rules and regulations that are associated with HR as well, and it makes more sense. So it's been a pleasure to work with my principal colleagues from this side of the aisle and help them understand sometimes why we have to do these things, and it's actually better for them. It's better for recruiting. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to dig into that partnership a little bit. Brian, you being an educator, you mentioned, there's a lot of things, me being an educator as well, that you just don't know kind of the ins and outs of the legalities of doing certain things. But you certainly bring a special skill set being an educator on the human resources team. And then Ivory, you come from a human resources background. And so what is it like having an educator as a part of the human resources team?
That's been a huge help in bridging our relationship between the human resources department and the schools and the school leadership. And in the end, that has a positive outcome for our students' success in the classroom. Just a couple of years ago when we created this position, I wanted it to require that Type B administrator certificate because I needed that knowledge in our HR department, because we're not educators. I'm not a teacher. I'm not a principal, but I'm passionate about public education and the importance that it has on all of our children and our country as a whole. And I'm very passionate about that. But I recognize that I don't know what it's like to be in the classroom as a teacher. I don't know what it's like to have to discipline students or to hire folks or to have absences or vacancies, and I don't know how to evaluate teachers. And so it was really important to have somebody with that skill set and knowledge come into our department. And that has just been such a blessing for us, especially when it comes to teacher certification and helping teachers navigate that. It's just been a blessing to have someone who understands and speaks that language and understands what it's like to go through those processes. So it's just been, I think it's been one of the most remarkable things that we've done in our department to be able to help to bridge our relationship with the rest of the district.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Brian, we're super excited that you're a part of the team, and we look forward to good things going forward. I want to dive into a little bit of human resources. You know, a lot of times in my mind, you say HR and people kind of get scared of HR, but can you walk us through what the human resources department does and all the great things you do to support our staff as well?
I mean, that's such a hard question because our day-to-day, it is never dull. It is never the same. There's always something different popping up for us to look at and go, imagine that. I've never thought of that. But at the end of the day, our job is to really support employees and managers in our district and having a positive outcome on our student success in the classroom. And so we're here to recruit and retain our staff. That's our primary job, is recruit and retain. So that's what we do on a daily basis with all the nuances that are involved in that. So Brian oversees a lot of our department, overseeing our recruiting team and our HR coordinators that support our employees. So he can talk a little bit about the day-to-day, but that's really the overall arching theme, is recruit and retain and just support.
Yeah. And I would also say that people sometimes don't know who to call. So they see human and they know that they're trying to talk to a human. So they immediately dial human resources, and that's okay. We can usually guide them to what where they need to go. But I also have just started to learn that human resources, for lack of a better analogy, is sort of like an old wooden wheel on a prairie schooner, right? It has the hub, and that's HR, because almost everything in some way passes through HR. Payroll, even though we don't write the checks, we make sure that the checks that are written are with the right amount and those types of things. Interpretations of the negotiated agreements, we do a lot with that. So yes, we're hiring, and we are creating relationships to keep teachers and support staff in our district. But we just do a ton of other little things that I had no idea that without HR, the other departments have to do that on their own. So it's been nice to really partner with all the different departments in the district.
Yeah. One of the things, I think is interesting, when people think of school districts, oftentimes they just think of teachers, right? But given the large size of our school district, I mean, you manage all different kinds of employees throughout the district. And so how many employees do we have both on the instructional side and the support side?
So we have about 2,000, probably a little over 2,000 employees. We have about 800 teachers, 800 support staff. We also have our substitute and temporary employees, which are so vital to our school district. And we have our non-represented group that most of what you see are here in the downtown administrative center or spread out through our facilities maintenance department and our nutrition services. So it's about 2,000 employees that we're managing, with different work groups and different work rules and different goals that all lead back to the classroom and our student success.
Yeah, absolutely. So something that's gotten national attention recently is teacher shortage. You can't open up I feel like, a website or a news article without seeing headlines about real teacher shortages that are happening around the nation, but certainly in Alaska, I feel like we're potentially hardest hit by those teacher shortages. What's your experience in the Human Resources Department seeing trends of teachers coming into Fairbanks or the state? And then what are we doing to improve the way we recruit and retain our educators here in Fairbanks?
Right. So I would say that at a national level, we do have an educator shortage. There's not as many people in our education programs that are coming out with degrees related to education. And so that's who translates into our employees, into our teachers. And so we're having to do really creative things to help attract and recruit teachers to come to our district, not just teachers, also our support staff and other positions as well. So we have to do creative things to help bring our folks into the district. One of the positives that we have a great district. We have a great reputation. We have great benefits for our employees. You have different folks that are living in Alaska, out in the rural communities, that are ready to come in and having to decide between Fairbanks and Anchorage and some of the other larger communities. And so the fact that our district has great benefits for their employees, I think, makes a great difference. Like an example of that is our health plan. We have a very low cost health plan that's affordable for our employees, which means in turn more money in their pockets, which is different than if you go to different districts that have higher cost health plans. We have 403B match. So if you're looking to retire at a district, we have the ability to match some of the funds that go into your retirement plan. And that's not just for teachers. I myself am able to benefit from that. So I just think that's a remarkable benefit that we have that we can use to recruit teachers and staff to our district. We've been pretty successful in filling our teaching positions. We have minimal vacancies because we've been able to really work with principals and look at our staffing and recruit early on so that we're able to fill those positions. Where we tend to have hardships, I believe, where we tend to have hardships is where we have resignations from teachers that are unexpected later in the summer or even more into the school year. That poses an issue because recruiting for teachers very late at the beginning of the school year and even into the school year, well, most teachers are under contract somewhere else, so it's very hard to recruit them to come here. So that poses an issue too. So that's something that we have to work through. But, I think overall we're in a positive place, but we would love to see more people invest and want to be teachers and want to support public education. And I think that's really the key.
Yeah.
And one of the things we're working with UAF right now, trying to grow our own. We've got some phenomenal substitutes and support staff that work in our schools every day. And we want to see do you want to be a teacher? And a lot of them don't, but many of them have never really had the opportunity to figure out what that is. So we're working with UAF to provide some of those early coursework that they can participate in to see if this is something they want to do. So we're really proud of that partnership with UAF. And then working with DEED as well to just have the State Department help us figure out how to recruit people as well. One of the things that Ivory's that she did early on when I got on is we recruit more now than just in the newspapers, you're right, or the state sites, but
or job fairs.
We recruit on Indeed. And so with Indeed, if somebody's clicked on that on your job posting but didn't finish something, you still get some of that information. So she hands that ticket over to me and says, just call them, because a lot of times people have we're so far away that there's still an intrigue about Alaska, but they might have some questions. And we've gotten a couple from just doing that cold call to say, what kept you from finishing that application? And then we have these very personal conversations instead of just a cold application process.
I think that's something that we've really tried to work on over the last 2 years, is building relationships, and not even just with our current employees, with our prospective employees as well. And the outreach is really important when you're trying to have folks to come to your district and to recruit people to come here. It's really about that relationship building, and that's something that we've done. Even with the minimal staff that we have in our Human Resources Department, we really invest our time during the spring and summer months of trying to find just ideal candidates for our principals to look at, to bring into our district. And we talk about job fairs, and I think that's actually something is a good thing to talk about, because again, I'm not a teacher, but last year we've really tried to grow in terms of our job fair presence. And that's the landscape of the teacher job fairs has really changed. And I think that's really important to note. And Brian can talk more about his experience in teacher job fairs when he started as an educator versus now, because that just shows you that the interest in becoming a teacher and studying education has declined. But it's one of the most important fundamental things that our country, our state, our local area needs. And so how do we bridge that gap? But
yeah, when I came up to the job fair 25 years ago, it was a madhouse in Anchorage. It was hundreds and hundreds of people. You had to have your resumes in early. They were doing interviews right then. And now there's a trickle of people at that same job fair. So the landscape has changed about how, not only how districts look at recruiting, but also how teachers do recruiting. It's going to the place isn't what they want to do, spend that money traveling. You can do a lot of recruiting and interviews online. And so that's what we're seeing, that where we've had to make that shift to find the applicants.
Yeah, I appreciate the personalized nature, kind of that shift that we've made within the last year or so. When, applicants are even just touching an application and us reaching out and saying, hey, what do you need for us to get you through this application process, and the support that you've been able to provide people within your department, because I think we are seeing a lot more completers in terms of applications and then the potential candidates that we have to interview. One other thing that I wanted to touch on, UAF, for all of our listeners outside of Fairbanks, Alaska, UAF is the University of Alaska Fairbanks. So shout out to them. We have many great partnerships with them. We meet with their College of Education on a regular basis to discuss more ways that we can get teachers in our classrooms and grow our own. Another exciting proposal coming up, hopefully in the future through our Career and Technical Education Department, is getting some of our high school students early education exposure. And so through a program called Educators Rising and other pre-service teacher courses, letting high school students see what a great occupation being an educator is and giving them a taste of that experience in high school. So we're looking at many different ways. There's not going to be one way to solve this teacher shortage issue, but I just appreciate the proactive response from our Human Resources Department in terms of trying to reach out for the best qualified candidates that we can. We know we want the best teachers in every classroom within our schools. Those are the teachers we're seeking. And fortunately, we have amazing educators here in Fairbanks, and we want to continue that trend.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with that more. And I think it's a test, too, that all of our children are in this school district as well. And I have just been so pleased on the professionalism and the ability to reach our students. It's just been a great opportunity. It's just been a great experience as a parent, but also as the HR director. It's been great. Our educators, our staff, everyone is phenomenal. At the end of the day, they're all here for the same thing, and that's what's happening in the classroom. And I've said and time again, I'm not a teacher, but it's really important to me that what happens in the classroom is very effective and is a good experience for students. So however I can support that, I want to be a part of it. So I always welcome opportunities to do that.
Yeah.
We are so we are entering the recruiting season, in just a little bit, we're going to start posting for known principal positions. I think we might already have some teaching positions out there. If not, by the time this is posted, I imagine we'll have some teacher postings available. So if I'm an educator and I'm listening to this, what's the best way to start working through that application process?
Right. That's a great question. If you're an educator and you're interested in coming to Fairbanks, we would just love to hear your name. We would just love to connect with you, because what we want to do is build a relationship with you to find out where is the best fit for you. What are you interested in teaching? An example of that is that we've been attempting to recruit a chemistry teacher at Lathrop High School. And we have connected with so many different individuals about teaching science. And when you tell them it's chemistry, they go, "Oh, no, I can't do that. That's different," right? And so, but we wouldn't know that, or they wouldn't know that until we have those conversations. And so we want it to be a great fit for everyone. So I would say reach out. We have our recruiting at k12northstar.org email address that comes to our recruiting team. We all monitor that, both Brian, myself, and our fabulous recruiting team of Delilah and Paula. And we can connect with you that way. On December 15th, our principal postings for Ladd Elementary and for West Valley High School will be posted. We are currently recruiting for special education teachers for next school year. But if you want something outside of that, then please just email us and let us know, and we will see what we can do to find the right fit. And when that opportunity is there, we'll let you know.
Awesome. Well, I couldn't leave this podcast without talking about special education. Special education is one of those areas that we're seeing the greatest need in and have vacancies there. And so I'm excited that we're going to get those posted early and really hopeful that we're going to fill all those positions going into this next school year.
Right. That's a major goal of ours, because we recognize the need for our special education programs and supporting our students that are in those programs. And so there's not many students in our local programs that will be graduating in that field. And so it's going to take an outside effort for us to be able to fill those positions. And so we've been working with Kate Hall, the Executive Director of Special Education, to post those positions. So it's currently posted for next school year. So if anyone is interested in those positions, it's currently posted, and they can submit their application. They can just reach out to myself, to Brian, and or Kate Hall directly to talk about what's the best fit and where they feel like they can contribute to our district. And we would love to have that conversation.
Brian, any final words as a former principal or in your HR role now of why somebody should come teach or work in the Fairbanks North Star Borough School District?
We don't have enough time for that, but it's an amazing place to have opportunity. There's just not many school districts, I don't think, that you can come in as a pre-service teacher, coming and doing your student teaching, and really have opportunities everywhere. You might start out as an elementary teacher and go take praxis tests and become a PE teacher. It just gives a little bit more variety. We've got, we're mostly growing our own administrators, so you can move into administration. And then I went downtown, right? And has been a great change, and you get to see a ton of different perspectives. But really, I just keep saying the best times I've had is with the people I've worked with in this district. I mean, there have been some, national initiatives that we have to take on, and you feel like, but we can't do this lift. How are we going to do this? And you turn around and everybody picks up a piece of it, and you just feel like we can do anything with our staff. And I've been here a long time, and even some of the people you don't really know, at the hardest times, that's when they come through, and then you know them a little bit better. So I would just encourage anybody to come to the Fairbanks North Star Borough School District to work. It's been my life, for 23 years now. And I wouldn't give up those 23 years for anything, and look forward to doing it for many more.
Beautifully said. So, well, I'm going to wrap us up here. I just want to say thank you to both of you for being on the podcast, because I know that's not always the most comfortable thing to do. You guys nailed it and did a great job. But also just thank you so much for the care that you have for your department and for our educators throughout the district. It really does make a difference when HR cares and they're engaged in the process. So thank you so much for the work that you do on a daily basis. Those of you listening, if you are interested in working for our district, please come work for our district. We have an amazing district. We have amazing things happening, and it's an exciting place to work, and we hope to see you here. So thank you very much. This concludes the podcast for today, and we hope to see you next time.
Thank you for embarking on this Alaska adventure with us. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll meet you on the next episode.